This is Kimoy from keepingupwithkimoy.com, and today I'm excited to share with you an exercise on how to write user interface text, also known as UI text. It is definitely a growing field for tech writers. As a matter of fact, I know quite a few people who are hired to write specifically user interface text. So it's definitely a growing field. So I wanted to share with you examples of what the UI elements look like. What would you be writing for? So user interface text is a text that you see for a particular application, whether it's on the website or on mobile apps or a software program. And right now we are in Google Docs, so you can see the text that's actually part of Google Docs, not the text that I or you and I would write, but the text that is actually included on the screen. So for example, file, edit, view, 100%, like that sort of stuff is a type of text that you may experience as a tech writer. So what I want to do is walk you through the names of these UI elements so that you're familiar with them, and this will help you in the exercise as part of the course. All right, so since we're here, file, edit, these are tabs. So you get to probably brainstorm with designers and product managers about what the names of these tabs should be. So let's say if Google Docs was coming up with like a new feature to be added somewhere here, you would figure out like what would be a helpful name for that tab. Now when you click on the tab, you also see text here, so that is menu text, so document online, word count, that sort of stuff. So you could also work on that type of text. Another form, let's see, so Tooltips, so let's see if I could find, so when you hover over printer icon, you see that it says print, which is like an imperative, it's like a demand. Here is what you need to do to print, and then they also have the Mac shortcut. So the tooltip is when you hover over, sometimes you have to click or tap on it to actually get that black bar that you see there. That's an example of a tooltip. The same here when the word Zoom pops up. So that sort of thing is what you will be working on. And I have to say that it's not always easy. It's really short, helpful text. And when you're writing other forms of text as a tech writer, for example, a manual, a help center article, you have a little bit more room to explain and provide context, give more details. But with user interface text, you don't have a lot of room. So you have to know how to get to the point. All right, so let me switch over to Expedia to give you some more examples of user interface text. So again, you could see like this is what I would call like a button or a tab. It just depends. And they already, along with the icons, they have the words that show what it means, which is really smart. Some other platforms, like you could see here in Google Docs, they just have the image, right? They don't have any words on there. It might have been helpful to have the word print, if somebody looking at this can't really tell that the icon is an actual printer. But here they have the text to support the visual elements of the icons. This one, so in this field box right here that says city or airport, so that is sometimes referred to as ghost text or field text, or helper text. So something like that. And what this does is it helps the user, it gives them an example of what should actually go in this field. So, you would type a city, right? So like Philadelphia. So that sort of thing is the text that's in the field is the sort of thing that you would get to write. The labels for the field is another example. Checkboxes. So this text that says, I only need a hotel for part of my stay. The text that shows up with that checkbox is something you would get to work on as well. Buttons, self-explanatory there. Another example of menu text. What else? Error messages is another thing. So let me just click search. And as you can see, like this error message that shows up in red, the text that says like, please complete the highlighted field below, that's an error message. And there are many guidelines as far as how to write error messages. And we touched on that in some of our lessons in the course, but that's part of the work that you may get to do as well as a tech writer. Other things like promotional text. So here you see save up to $600. So in another instance, like let's go here to Google AdWords. This text right here is a pop-up type of alert that lets you know about a new feature. So there's a way for the person using Google AdWords to learn how to set targets and track performance. Also, these links are part of user interface text. So the user on this site could click to learn more, where they would get additional details, or they can just simply dismiss the message. So that's an example. Here on this form, as you can see, there's no helper text, right? And it's probably not needed because there's labels for each of the fields. That's fairly self-explanatory. But here's an example of radio button text, yes or no, which is a little bit different from the checkbox that we talked about earlier. And let's see. Here's an example of headings, today's top deals. And there's also kind of like, let's see. Okay, so this is an example of a tooltip, right? The thing that I don't like about it is that I had to actually click on it to see what it was. So this is a really important exercise because you have to think about the user's behavior. So there are some of us who know that when we click something, it will open up a new tab or screen. Versus when you hover over it, like here in Google Docs, right? I don't have to commit to clicking. So I can just look at it and hover over it and see what it means without clicking. But here on this bell, I have to commit to clicking to see that, oh, this bell means that that's where my notifications are, right? However, I feel like if I had just hovered over it, that would have been enough to let me know, hover over it with the text to let me know that this is where my notifications are, because I'm sure like when you do have a message here, you would have to click again to actually go to the notifications. So it just depends on the design and the experience that you want the user to have. But I wanted to give you an example of that. And there's also, so we talked about the error message, but there's also confirmational messages or like motivational messages. So this is not a good site, but maybe you will see something like, you have successfully completed the report, or, like a progress report when you're filling out something like you have completed 3 of the 5 elements or whatever the case may be. But that's essentially the overview of some examples of what these user interface elements look like. All right. Now you get to do your homework for this exercise.